Hi, and welcome to this state of the game with In Memory, a trilogy roll and write I'm making. Um, the game tells a story about you buying an old abandoned farm, and you discover all these notes and these photographs of the old couple who used to live here. And the gameplay basically tells you how you imagine that they lived. So you're not playing how they lived, but basically how you imagined they lived through the first two of the roll and writes. The last roll and write will be you trying to fulfill the old guy's last wish. So this is the cover art of the hopefully a Kickstarter, but let's see to that. So this will be the second roll write. I'm still to make the first one. So this is the second one where you plant a garden basically. So you are telling the story of this woman on the farm who had the her experience with the dog and a cat and how she like planted her garden. So you basically you roll two dice, which is common for all the free roll and writes. You roll two dice, and then you have some things to take into consideration. In this game, you always roll a shape, and you roll a flower in this game. Before you do that, you have to roll for shade. So there's somewhere that won't grow flowers because there's shade there. You roll likes and dislikes to the cat and dog. You will then roll two dice, placing the shapes with the flowers down in the garden, and you want to fulfill this down here because tulips only score points if they're next to that type of flower. And if let me just draw it for you. So if you had a tulip here, this does not score any point whatsoever. But if it's adjacent to this flower, with only one adjacent side touching, the whole, if you had like tulips looking like this, the whole thing would score points. So that's how this game is played, and you'll fill in the score over here. So the next game is the last roll and write, where you will fulfill this guy's last wish of not making a farm, but like making a lush environment for animals to thrive. So you have what you do in the beginning is that you will roll for dislikes, because you have all these animals over here that like some stuff. But they also dislike some stuff. So if you have rolled, let's say you have rolled grass here, and now you have a fish here. I'll get back to how you spawn a fish. And you had a lake. Then if this was grass, this won't count in the end score. The way you get a fish here is that if the majority of stuff surrounding the fish in the octagon, it will get a fish in there. So if we had a lake like so, what I tend to do is just draw one continuous lake, and then you had four different things that are not a lake. You'll get a fish in here. Everyone can see that's a fish. And when you have got a fish, you only need like a mouse, or you need like a butterfly to get more option when rolling stuff. So what your aim is to get the biggest cluster of stuff, like the garden one. So you want like huge patches of needle trees, but needle trees only score if they're like adjacent to flowers. So we have the same thing as the previous one. And down here in the house we have the scoring board. I'm sorry if this is a bit messy. there's a lot of things to go through, but if you had 10 points at the end of the game with needle trees, you'll write 10 next to this one. So this is basically how the last game, the last roll write will be. The first roll write that I'm still to make will be how they lived on this farm. And the way you will track this is by, you have some Polaroid photos where I will draw some illustrations in here. And the way you track it is that there are X amount of Polaroids, and you will write something down here like went for a walk with the woman in this game. So this is basically turn one. You do not X something out, but you write something in the story. And then the gameplay is similar to the other two ones, where you roll 2 dice and you get something you have to draw. So this is basically how far it is now. I really hope you enjoy it, and please let me know if you have any comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.